Empire's borders were expanding at a rate the Great King found acceptable. In quick order, he had brought the provinces of the land of the Dervishes and the Cracked Land back under his control, utterly obliterating the defenders of each with his power and majesty. The Hennisman had proved a competent servant, fending off a savage invasion force led once again by Skarbrand and his slavering demon followers. Honduras' report had spoken highly of his new commander's abilities in battle, and also that he had made progress in training in one of the regiments of Tomb Guard to the rigorous standards of the Hawk Legions of Settra, and they now proudly bore his mark, ready for the coming battles. Our scouts in the north report all quiet in Skarbrand's stronghold. The time is ripe for vengeance and conquest. We march now on a herd of barbaric beastmen that have been busy tearing the countryside apart in tribute to their dark gods. This brazen blasphemy will be purged. These disgusting, filthy, savage beasts raid our lands and steal our skulls and gold. We can have none of it. We'll go ahead and start this battle off. We've got kind of an interesting formation. I've just got this archers a little bit staggered just because of how maneuverable the beastmen are, even though this isn't not really a very scary army they've got here. It's mostly Ungor raiders, which are entirely chaff. They're all a little bit sunburned from hanging out in the desert a little bit too long. I'm assuming it's because they're Cornate tinged, but or at least Cornate corrupted a little bit. The guy's collar is a little bit buggy going on through his body. They're charging on in. Whole bunch of Ungor. We actually cannot see any of these archers until we get a little bit closer. Plan was just to send the chariots on in. Even though they are spearmen, we can still do an absolute ton of damage. They don't do the best job bracing for chariots. Although I should have probably switched targets here. Charge on in and do get stuck, because that is an absolute ton of goats in the way. Got multiple chariots crashing on in though. Trying to stay away from the Minotaurs as much as they can. But looking like they're doing a kind of a bad job. The minibus moves on over. They take that much damage even though they are anti-large, so we're charging them on out, dropping down a Tomb Swarm as Settra and Apophis make it on in. Oh, okay, apparently he got stopped by that charge fully there. Spearmen doing their thing. The herd of goats continues to explode. Our hero core is unstoppable. Swinging left and right, cleaving these foolish goats in twain, while the rest of our force moves on up as quickly as they can. Got the chariots trying to move through the Minotaurs they got stuck in. I didn't realize they were there, so we're just trying to pull them away and harass these, since they actually do not have much armor or missile resistance, so they go down pretty easily to a missile fire there. Just trying to keep hiding the Minotaurs around and stay away from them for the most part. They are braced, but they're pretty much half dead, so these charge will do good damage. Not quite the jam fest they normally are, but the Ungor quickly turn and run. The Whispers of Assyrian continue going out. Ride them down, Settra. Reaches over and cuts a couple goats in half, while Apophis tries to hunt down their Beast Lord here. A little scream at the goats that are trying to interrupt. Get him with the knife now, Apophis. The screaming isn't doing enough. I did fine that time. Looks like the Beast Lord has had absolutely enough. He thought he was coming here to raid. He didn't expect mummies to rise up and destroy him. Another amazing volley coming down, rending their souls. Our front line has not even had time to engage. This is going to be another battle that is mostly done with heroes and chariots. As Settra engages the Minotaurs solo, he's already cleaved several in half. Where's the beef? Settra has it. There's no escape. This raiding force will be hunted down and exterminated to the last. Ooh, one last beautiful charge. Hit him. Or not. Or not. And it's a good thing these savages were already stained crimson because we have coated the sands in their blood. It's interesting how red these guys are tinted. They must have been kind of a coronate tribe. We, for our victory, will take the Endless March. The Man-Blight tribe has been destroyed, as is their right. And then I would like to jump back over to Khemri to grab the additional chariots, since we're missing out on those chariots, but we can probably do that in global. Let's see, I would like to see exactly how long it would take. We cannot quite do that. Let's jump into March instead, and I think our next course of action is going to be to quickly sprint down here. This seems a bit dangerous. I don't think Helmut should be able to take Zandri solo. If the dwarves decide to attack us, we'll have a bad day, but they're dealing with the Sand Grinder. We're going to be a little bit brave with Zandri here with the Cracked Land, since it's a little bit less on the upgraded side. And I'd like to really get over here and secure the third Book of Nagash. That way, anytime we attack and either sack or claim a settlement, we will be having a sandstorm strike all of our regions, which is just going to cause some attrition and other negatives for our enemies. Plus, securing those books is what we're all here for. So, we shall go for... We've already got Dune Rider giving our chariots more. I think next we go for... Resurrect gives us a heal per second. But I think we go for Tomb Guard units. Hang on now. Where is the... Where are my Royal Guard? Ah, so the Royal Guard archers are over here. And are the Royal Guard here? Skeleton Warriors, Spearmen, Tomb Guard. That's not Royal Guard. Interesting. Okay, we'll grab Unfading Memory then. And then over here to Prince Nebethar. I think he could use just a little bit more armor. We'll max out that full plate. And then our next course is probably going to be to max out training to get that up to 50, because 50 is quite a bit more than 30 per turn. And if anyone is on the edge of being upgraded, they will hit right on over. We could also kick off the Great Incantation of Ksar, starting a sandstorm right away. I don't think we need that, and it costs us a good deal. We've got 5,000 at current. Is there anything important we could really spend that on? Not that I'm seeing. I think the best course of action is going to be to continue to build up our funds. Since we're so close to El Kalabat, I'm happy to upgrade here. And then, after I just said we're going to save some funds. Control in adjacent provinces as well as research rate. This gives us more income. We have a pretty solid income. Let's go for the control building over here. It gives us a little bit more carrion. Which, once we do upgrade him, Zandri is the home of... King Amenhenhedem? Yes, he is the tomb of the, or at least he is the Vulture King. He is the, or at least he worships Utulap. I believe that's the Vulture God the most, so he has extra charge bonus for Carrion and melee attack for Carrion as well as Unbreakable. So the vultures that normally are terrible are a little bit better. So we'll have a whole army of zombie pirates, or at least Doom King pirates, with Carrion as their air force. And Sehenismet finally has himself some Ushabti besides the Chosen of the Gods, and we've got the Gaze of Joff. These are going to be awesome. They've got 86 melee attack, or at least weapon strength, rather. And that is an 8 to the bonus versus infantry, and most of it is in armor piercing, so they're going to be nasty. Plus, with Sehenismet's regular bonuses he gives, even better. The turn once again falls to us, and this beast man, Birdstone up here, was passing out plagues as fast as it could, and actually it looks like he has gone ahead and eliminated that blood ground. There's a Herdstone, I think, higher up to the north. But the blood ground down here in the south, at least, is eliminated, so we're not going to have to worry about any more plague. They may spread around in the land of the dead. They're going to hurt control and give us some corruption, which is unfortunate. But now, Hennismet, I do not necessarily have to send him up north on a crusade, but I think we are still going to. I'm going to have him go up here and attack Gorgazon and raise it. I don't really want Thorak to gain too much ground, though. Gorgazon is going to be Gorgazon, Death Gorge, and Nekara, and he's already claimed Nekara, as well as the Sunken Kernarch. His is the end times event that we get. We are going to get immediately attacked by Thorak and a massive army, which will happen even if we eliminate him, so we will have to deal with it no matter what. Prince of Apophis has hit level 20. I think we want to make him a little bit faster sounds good, getting him up to 59 speed total. And the next point actually just gives him hit points. Oh, Hierophant Hakoros is coming on over to the Pools of Despair. That's a bit annoying. Keeps me from securing the Book of Nagash like I wanted to. But we cannot allow them to reclaim the pools. He's actually rolling with kind of an intimidating looking army too, so this could be quite the fight. Let's swing on over. Can we do any ambushes? Sadly, no. Even in March stance, he can only reach the pools, so let's move Settra over to the pools, but not inside. That way we can chase him down if we want to. At least we can try to. Give him a little bit more of an area he has to walk around. Backtracking doesn't make me happy, though, so you're going to pay for this with your life. The Black Tower of Arkhan could be upgraded. Probably not a bad idea. Khemri's got a couple more turns before it is able. Although we could also start upgrading Numos and Qatar and getting those in, since this is our main province. I think we would take best care of it. So we will upgrade. Well, which one has the better buildings? Let's go check. So building browser. Qatar has the Pyramid of King Far, which gives us more magic reserve, more control in adjacent provinces, and then more income from all buildings faction-wide, as well as King Far's Final Defiance, which I'll have to go take a look at. And then over here in Numos, we get Prince Tutankhamun, which gives us growth, replenishment rate, and the Scarab City gives us more Kepra Swarm. Actually, I think we'll go for Qatar first. Let's not destroy it, yeah? We're going to build up the mausoleum here. Got 2,500 left. I am happy with where we're at. We can upgrade the Black Tower of Arkhan next. And then we'll have Settra charge up here at Gorgazon. Oh, we can't reach it in normal stance, so we'll just do... Does this keep us immune to that attrition? Perfect. Well, I kind of want to stay in friendly territory to keep all those buffs in Khemri. Yeah, we'll keep him in underneath the stance, and he should be able to reach Gorgazon. If not, I'm a big old fool, and we'll have to deal with it. Sinuferet. Let's go up here and check on Death Gorge here. Good news is when he is actually fighting, Thorak is actually fighting with the Court of Labatus. And the fact that he's up here dealing with this and not fighting her keeps her alive a little bit longer. I would prefer to fight with the Queen and not have to allow them to do it themselves. We have to test her in combat. Diving into diplomacy real quick.
Shall rise again.
Yes. No, I can't make any deals with you, sadly. Even if I'd like to.
The Queen of Blood.
That's fine. Sartosa would like a non-aggression pact. I am actually fine on that. She's getting her breaks beaten off her by the other dwarves. The dwarves are doing very well this campaign.
I am Settra, blessed of Pictra, lord of the great Mortis River. Who are you again?
Dude, he's all forehead piercing. What are you talking about? Work together, feast together. All is good. See, here's the problem. The Great Desert of Araby. Do you see what this looks like? Does this look like an ogre town to you? No? So you don't belong. The Rite of Awakening form at Tlaqua. We need to get Tlaqua on side quickly. Cult of Sigmar went ahead and seppuku'd into someone there. And Arkhan the Black is recruiting back up over here in Kulfur. We didn't even get to see Leonis get wiped out, and apparently she irritated the dwarves, and that was the end. A short war. Be at war with... That's disrespectful. Be at war with Thorak Ironbrow. We get the Dwarven conflict, giving us more leadership when fighting against dwarves, more canopic jars, more treasury. I think we can do that. Excuse me? You're supposed to hang out in the Black Pyramid and do nothing else. Have they been activated? Alright, so we need to be at war with it in Ithoric, and apparently he knows that. So let's come over here with Senuferet. Gorgazon is tier 3 and still only has 4 units to fight against us. While this is really not worth the fight, we're going to absolutely do it.
Attack and destroy.
Get on over there, Senuferet. Our armies march. Skarbrand threatened our home. We are going to do the same to his. And even though, yeah, that's only 4 units, we're going to get to try out the Ushabti, the Gaze of Joff, and I'd like to do some more flamethrowing. Who does not love cobras with flamethrowers? It is far too late for the followers of Khorne to realize, but we never forget those who wrong us. Or there's a million slights. They destroyed 1 city. We will never forget it. We're going to send all of the constructs in. We're not going to use any of the rest of our force unless we can help it. We're just going to send them kind of up to block this here path. And the chariot's over in case they try to escape. There are only 4 units here, so we're going to do as much damage as we can with our new constructs. So Sahinasmet runs on in. The Ushabti move very, very quickly, so I was having to readjust to their speed. The volley from the great bows should be coming on in. Oh, and they exploded a little airburst darts. That's pretty cool. Purifying these disgusting Chaos Warriors with burning flame as a few turn into sand. Not really sure what this group of Bloodletters is doing. It's just running off, having a good jog. Archers are assisting out our Ushabti, who are taking a little bit of damage. Bloodletters are very good at dishing it out, even though they die in droves. Those dual blades ripping and tearing through our opponents. Flamethrowers of Justice doing their work over here. And any of the Khornate warriors that survive are going to have to deal with a 8-foot tall, or at least a 12-foot tall Cobra. We've got the Sepulchral Stalkers still avoiding the Bloodletters that are running around. We're just playing keep away. There was no real reason to engage. Those airburst arrows explode overhead. And they get absolutely coated in pokey rain. Revenge is ours. Should be the last of the enemy forces fizzling on away. And we will be chasing down the last of these Khornate warriors, just trying to give our lads a few more kills. Just try to pad those stats. Blood for the Blood God indeed. The Blood God wished for war, but was unprepared when we brought it to his doorstep. The feral barbarians of the Waste will not stay scattered for long, however. They follow the call of ruin and destruction. But each horde they raise shall be utterly vanquished, their flesh torn apart by carrion, and their bleached bones to serve as a reminder of those who would challenge the eternal kingdom. And the hammer of justice comes down on Gorgazon. We lost 0. I mean, if we lost some, I would have been really sad. We gained a single canopic jar. We must have smashed him too hard. We will go ahead and raise Gorgazon for the canopic jars. We're going to take some attrition in the process, but you did this to us, so enjoy. Destroyed. Yes, we'll take a bit of attrition while standing here, but we'll deal with it. Of course, and we can give him a bit more physical resistance as well as some charge bonus. Not a bad idea. He's got 5% now. That would take that up. I think we would rather grab, though... Sitting here trying to figure out... I think we want his magic. We need to get towards magic reserves and arcane conduit. And Sekhmet's incantation of Skullstorm is really not that bad. It's pretty good. And he, with his Rook there, the Sacred Shepesh, he does get bonuses to his casting there. So let's grab think Righteous Smiting, because we can put this on the Ushabti Great Bows. And then Berect here. I think we want to make him a Keeper of Lore to give us a meager 2% more magic, or at least research rate, and then 10% more wins of magic reserve. We'll grab this one next to decrease the overall mortuary cult crafting cost. Next, we'll grab Bit of Shades. Now that I'm thinking about it, Bit of Shade's such a good spell. Even with the nerfs to it. We have 4,000 gold now. We could upgrade both Numas and Springs. I think we'll go for Numas first. Although, taking this thing to tier 3, how good is this really? Down here at Bagar, we could put in Pyramid of Alkitazar at 6,000, which I think this is going to be the thing we want to do first. So let's save some money. We'll not spend any for a moment there. Looks like our enemies ran on off, so let's see if we can't... You know, I don't really trust that. I'd really like to get down here to the third book of Nagash, but if we get attacked at the Pools of Despair there, would really not like that. He could have run past. He could be in ambush pretty much anywhere is the issue. Can we use Nebathar to scout around?
Not this time.
Not this time. Well, I'd kind of just like to see, well, go over here and assassinate Jana. Jonza? Lich Priest of Death? No. Rid of some full success. Didn't get enough experience to level up, sadly, but that is a removed hero. Doesn't look like our enemies are nearby. Oh, they ran up this way. Can they reach Zandri? Almost. I'd really like to secure this book. Here's what we're going to do. Eliminate our enemies first, and then secure the book. We'll come over to the crossroads and ambush stance. We don't have a high chance of ambushing, but at least we will disappear from the map, and maybe they'll come back over and try to attack. Zandri is most likely, right? Is a tier 2 settlement. Pools of Despair is weaker. They usually go after the weaker settlements. We need some more fights. New Ferret moving. Here's their other lord there. That'll be replaced with Scarbrand pretty soon. So what we need to do is move up and either defeat Death Gorge, or we could possibly keep them both, because I'm sure you're at war with Scarbrand. I doubt they will ever peace out with each other, but that would be awful for a Scarbrand Dwarf combo.
Immortality and power.
Entropy increases in Zandri. In cities as old as the deserts, it is the natural order that even the finest buildings eventually crumble and fall. One of our largest temples has started to collapse, and we fear that it will soon topple, bringing down calamity. Should we reinforce it? We would hit a reinforced temple, getting less construction costs for all of our buildings faction-wide. We just take cost some canopic jars, or we would have some damage. We'll stand. Buildings get damaged. Now, we'll spin some jars. We've got plenty. Ambush discovered. Hierophant Hakaros. Oh, there are multiple. Arkhan, you've got several armies rolling around now. You've got a lot of research. Gained some more plagues, unfortunately. Yeah, all over the place, plagues are passing around. Numas has a new one as well, huh? That's unfortunate. Alright, well, it's a Hennismet. I'm going to send you back into Khemri land. Still taking attrition from the plague? Gross. Plague attrition.
Address me as your highness.
Let's get back into friendly territory then.
To greatness.
We'll start working over towards Thorek, keeping things safe in the north. Settra is more than capable of dealing with all of these fools. Starting with Hierophant Hatmas. We're missing a soldier, Prince Nebathar. We can't really put him back in the army just yet, so let's go over here and weaken this first group. That costs a little bit of money. Let's not do that. But I would really like to come over to Bagar and put in King Alcatazar's pyramid. Stands as eternal proof of his sacrifice to prevent Nagash's nefarious plans reaching fruition. We would get the technology Alcatazar's Honored Fallen, and the income from post-battle loot is really what I'm looking for. So let's put this in. 9 turns later, we will have a new beautiful pyramid. And now to war. Would give us a decisive victory. We could easily auto-resolve this one. But what would we be if we are constantly auto-resolving? He has a bonus versus large. We'll have to keep that in mind. A Spear of Fakth. And then a Talisman of Preservation. Be very good if we could steal this from you. Let's get to it. Who's ready to crush yet another rival king? Arkhan the Black sends his followers forth. We'll do it in slow motion to start. Got all my lads over here. We're going to try to, because he's going to deploy very, very wide, we're going to concentrate on his elite units over here, these Sepulchral Stalkers, which are currently invisible, but as soon as they do show up, every single one of my targets, or every single one of my heroes is going to be focused on them. These Ushabti Great Bows are going to be another one of their big heavy hitters. We're going to want to try to engage them as quickly as we can to shut down those crazy bows, and then we're just going to send the chariots in and do as much damage as we can. This middle line here is just a bunch of skeleton warriors, so if we crash through the middle there, it will do as much damage as we need. As we move the main force over to try to get in on these dunes so we can fire in on them as they filter on over. Summoning the Usirian's Kepra Swarm right away to go and engage with those Ushabti Great Bows. You're absolutely not going to win that fight, but shutting them down and using some magical damage on them, as you can see, it's not bad. It's going to tickle away at them ever so slightly and keep them from firing on us, as our chariots have already smashed on through and done massive damage. And while we really don't want Settra and Nebethar, or Nekaph rather, fighting them, the Immortal Stalkers rather, because they're very, very good at ripping down heavily armored large units. And that's pretty much all they're good at. They're just elite halberdiers. Not good against infantry, though. An unbraced spearman is a useless spearman. We're going to run them right over, grind them into paste. Our Kepra Swarm is having a bad time, and they've rampaged on out, so they're not long for the world. But we've dropped down a Swarm to start chipping away at all that blob of units there, as the Necro Serpents wiggle on over. Them being debilitated is definitely not helping their cause at all. Let's drop it into slow-mo, get some nice battle shots there. Swings the halberd. Several skeletons die. And our chariots are crashing on into the back of these completely undefended swordsmen. Splintering bone and wooden shield beneath their wheel and hoof. Apophis does what he normally does and fights as many people as possible. I had him hunting down their lord, and as usual, he ran away, seeing Apophis's hate in his eyes. We've got a summon of Ushabti back in our back line there, and they're charging directly in to smash up some of our archers. They also have hate in their eyes. It's purely for our poor archer crew. We're going to try to run away from them as quickly as we can, try to rotate around. Best course of action with them is usually just to run. I sent the great swords back since they do have armor piercing, and they should be able to do a good deal of damage in return. And delay them from getting into our very vulnerable archers. Serpents rather, were content at chasing us off, these Necropolis Knights. It'd be cool if we got a unit of Serpents by themselves without the Knights, but I don't know if that's not possible. And they may be in this mod, and I just haven't found them yet either. The Necropolis Knights have engaged Settra and Nekaph. It's going to be quite the battle there. But they are absolute monsters and should be able to hang in, and no problem, especially while reinforcements charge on in, grinding those crypt ghouls into paste. And yeah, still, Apophis is still in the middle of an absolute horde of undead. While their great bows are able to fire, it looks like they're picking targets in on our archers. Those are the juiciest targets for them. And there our arrows do not have that the airburst grenade effect that the others do. Just an absolute mash. Their leadership's starting to break. Our front line finally starting to engage with some of the enemies, so we've turned off our artillery to try to get as little friendly fire as we can. Tomb Guard versus Skeletal Spearmen, the Spearmen are going to have the worst time. Lich Priest desperately firing off some blasts as his soldiers are run down and ripped asunder. As his binding fails. Yet another Lich Priest sent home. Their construct shattered and their legions destroyed. This is the first army down. Hatmas is defeated. We will go ahead and, I think, since we took almost no damage, we will go ahead and go for Endless March for some cool gold. And then we'll go ahead and pass out some skill points. Nekaph was actually the only one to gain one, surprisingly, so we will go ahead and give him, since we're still ignoring all his passives. Over my dead body's maxed out, so we'll go for full plate armor. Start getting that armor on up. It's at 83 now, which is not bad, but it's not super high tier. And then we move on to the next, the Hierophant Hakoros. I think we've already defeated in battle once. We'll swing on over it, and I think... Nah, we won't be lucky enough. We'll just have to attack him. Nemephar, you're gonna have to sit out 2 battles now, bud. Wow. He ran away as fast as he could, so we'll stick Nemephar in the army. And then we will go into ambush stance. Catch us a Hierophant. Og is down there. I really need to grab that Book of Nagash. We'll zoom them back in how I want it. And then we'll have Senuferet. And we'll have him start moving up north. Getting some exploring. Here's Count Ewald. You're raiding in Scarbrand's lands. Causing some problems. Alright, Hakoros somehow managed to get to the Pools of Despair. He must have snuck around Settra. We have no chance in this battle, so we'll have to give this one auto-resolve. The only good news being that it was the Pool of Despair, and that is why we were not upgrading that one. So Nemephar gained a scale. He's up to a level 19. I think we'll go ahead and give him the Over My Dead Body so we can actually keep up with everyone else. And then we destroy Hierophant Hakoros. Dude, you don't get to destroy small cities and run away like that. You must perish for your crimes. Another fair-sized army here. Let's get in there and smush up some Ushabti. We've got a bit of a scarier army standing against the Great King on this battle here. We've got several Hexwraiths to worry about. Some more Sepulchral Stalkers, some Ushabti, several sets of Ushabti, and some Great Bows. So there are several large targets for us to deal with, as well as even some more Necropolis Knights. So we have to pick our targets wisely and eliminate them quickly. So first things first is these 2 sets of Hexwraiths. They move very quick, do a ton of damage, and are ethereal, so they need magic damage to rip them down faster. They have no armor at all. Actually, they may have some. Nope, 0 armor. But an absolute ton of physical resistance. Same as Office, who actually has more. He is better. I'm lying. He has more other resistances besides, though. He is also what you would call a ghost. His magic going down, and then Usirian's Kepra Swarm actually will have magical attacks, so they are great to assist in bringing down these Hexwraiths, while the rest of them rotate on over. If you have an enemy deploys really wide like this, especially the AI, maybe not so much against other people, but that's not my specialty. If you deploy kind of in a small group and kind of force attack one side, concentrate real hard, and hit the high-value targets quickly, you will have no trouble beating them, no matter how outnumbered you are. Chariots, I wanted them all hitting this first group. I knew we would take some damage in return if they charged on in, but I had Settra and the other heroes waiting. They accidentally got run into the lightning host. Coordination not going super well. The Blessed Blade giving him magical attacks, also assisting in ripping off those Hexwraiths as quickly as we can. Spraying magical acid all over them. They're going down quick. Their leadership's already near 0 as the Horde rushes on over. Great bow shots. Looks like they're mostly fighting their mark in their own friendly Ushabti, who are actually going to do really good damage against our chariots. We need to pull them out quickly. Wanted to keep them in until those Hexwraiths were gone. And good news is Apophis does magical damage in return, so he is doing full damage to these Wraiths. The other group was getting worried about jumping on in. I wish they would have charged our line, but they decided, nay, we're going to rush on in and suicide into Settra there. While the Sepulchral Stalkers blast some gaze of hate over the top. Slow things down, because we are actually cleaving through this army pretty quickly here. Hexwraiths are moving on in, though. They are deadly. We have to keep an eye on them, and they are chasing our chariots as fast as they can. Another summon of Ushabti shows on up. Try to stop our lads, but they will fall like the rest. The Necropolis Knights are staying back, being a bit cautious, while the rest of these spearmen rotate over pretty slowly, and the Hierophant hangs out in the river. Our forces approach. We're trying to bring the chariots back into our halberds. If your cavalry is ever outmatched by enemy, try to drag them through your spears. And that will usually get them caught up. You can bring your cavalry back around for a rear charge on the enemy. We've got a gigantic blob here in the middle, just as our Casket of Souls likes. Each volley is going to be doing insane damage. Pulping probably 20-30 enemies there. As a rain of arrows comes on in as well. They're not enjoying themselves one bit. All their elite units meant nothing when they were isolated and destroyed. The Greatswords charging on in, that's a side charge at least. Unless they weren't given an attack order. Unfortunate. I think they were going after these Sepulchral Stalkers and wanted to shut them down quickly, and they are not so great against armor-piercing Greatsword infantry. As I sent the other Tomb Guard out into the river to deal with these Ushabti Greatbows, stop them firing on in freely. Each volley doing a good deal of damage. Necropolis Knights still pretty much at full models, they've just taken a lot of damage. Until a chariot charge finishes off a few. Souls leaving the Necro Serpents as they fall, and the rest of the army shatters. It was foolish to try to face Settra. Crumble to dust. As he gets hit with an absolute ton of arrows. Every coin robbed from us returned in blood. The entire army crushed, we lost 50 total. Settra and the boys did a really good job rounding up all the Hexwraiths there and shutting them down. We are going to once again kick off another endless march for 1500 treasury, and I don't think you can keep stacking the campaign movement range, but we'll take the gold. Up to 6,200 now, and Settra is courageous. I think he should have always been. Settra the Imperishable would assume he's even more hardcore than Dauntless. Oh, but now he's also a kidnapper. Well, you win some, you lose some. Let's go ahead and send him south, although I believe that Arkhan is going to be furiously attacking us. Oh yeah, he's got some evil dwarves with him too. Alright, we have 6,000 gold in it. Talakwa really doesn't like us. Past war with Cult of Sigmar, military actions. Yeah, they really don't like what happened with Sigmar. And then their prejudice against us after we stole some of their people. Can we pay for a non-aggression pact? Answer is no. Right, calm down. Tic-tac-toe. You're being dramatic. Settra will offer you a small gift of 1,000 gold if you bugger off. Thank you. You declare war on me next turn with that gained gold. Screwed up some Saurus. I wouldn't be surprised. They got that hate in their heart. We could throw in the Vineyard, or I think better choice here is to put in the Skeletal Garrison. That's up north, Sudenburg, which is not actually on the border. Plain of Tuskers is much more under threat. Let's put in the Grave Fort for more growth, more trade, and the Tomb Bark. Mausoleum down here at Antok can wait. Although it will allow us to have walls. We need another army. We're at 6 turns left for that. I'm saving gold and everything else. We will definitely go ahead and get the apprenticeship of Henna, because we are actually missing out on a Necrotect. And Hennismet's army could definitely use one.
Address me as your highness.
Alright, so Hennismet, we need you to actually replenish before we send you out.
Of greatest dynasty.
How many turns do we have before we don't get the bonus for the short war? 4 more? Perfect. Keep that in mind. Have Hennismet moving over to the border, although we're going to be taking... What attrition are we taking? Oh, high chaos corruption because of all that Nurgle. All that Nurgle corruption started to kick up. I'm confused. Is it just because of the plague? It's labeling it incorrectly.
From the sands.
I think we take the same amount of attrition regardless, so let's... Oh no, we absolutely do not. Fair enough, it claims there's high chaos corruption, but I see absolutely 0. There's positive 10, but like negative 11, 4, and 4, so no corruption here. Just a nasty plague. Khemri is about to upgrade, so I think we actually hold off on any kind of upgrades over there. In Al-Khalabad and Zandri, I am happy to go ahead and throw in the Cinnabar mining bits. We have access to those dyes. Let's pass out some skill points now. Settra, I actually think I want to grab Returned in Madness for the physical resistance purely. Up to 37%. That charge bonus does not hurt either, but that physical resistance is really what we're going for. Then we'll grab Resurrect. I'm not actually concerned with his blue line all that much. Even mine, all mine. None of these really excite me. 5% more movement range. Actually, I think we'll probably max out on our movement range before we even get to that. So it'll be mostly in his magic and his combat is what's coming up next. Settra's doing a crazy amount of damage, and he's not even been upgraded much, so I cannot wait. For Nekaph and our other Tomb Prince. Can make them embalmed in elixir, giving them a little bit more health and some fire resistance. I don't really need fire resistance just yet. Let's continue to upgrade his armor, and then Prince Apophis. We will give the... He's got lots of additional health options. Go for Over My Dead Body first. Then I think next we'll go for Entombed Menace. I think that should give us either another usage, or what does it do when we upgrade it? Less cooldown, less miscast. Oh, and that's it. So just less cooldown and less miscast, which is entirely fine. It is quite a long cooldown. And those are very good at distracting enemies that are ethereal or just stopping archers. I think we leave... Arkhan has a lot of availability for lords. We're going to sprint over as fast as we can to deal with this Book of Nagash. Stay in friendly territory. We're going to be trespassing all up in the Ogre's lands. There's Nicolander, the blade of Skullaril? Oh, it's a blend of wool... blend of wood elves and lizards. And quite a potent blend at that. Way Watchers we will make easy, short work of with our chariots. These Temple Guard are going to be scary. I mean, even Chameleon Skinks, once we catch them, are easy pickings. The Wild Riders are going to be... Oh, they're not even anti-large. Never mind. Yeah, there'll be a fight, but I think we can handle that. Especially with our hardened team of mass murderers. We'll have Sinuferet continuing to explore. I like him seeing what's going on up in the mountains, although we know that up in these mountains is nothing but the Skaven. Let's go this way instead. Looks like the Skaven have either pushed out, or there's another blood ground up north that we're going to have to deal with. That is the one thing Thorek is good for. I will repair the Pools of Despair since we have powered on through that. And then at El Khalabad, I will put in the Regnant Catacombs because they're pretty cheap. Gutenberg, we can put in some upgrades. Oh yeah, I was looking at the walls. We'll just put in the Vineyard since it's actually kind of central to us at the moment and not very in danger. We'll just add some wine to our overall Mortuary Cult. And back to us, and while I would very much like to chase down Nicolander down here, Arkhan has taken this opportunity to sprint on over and try to claim Zandri. And while he is probably going to make it to Zandri just fine, we can at least move on in and intercept him once he tries to leave. So even if he goes after the Pools of Despair, either one, I'm going to kind of run to here. And I'm happy to be in March stance. Whatever you've got, we'll fight it. Black Tower of Arkhan could use some upgrades. Walls, I think, would be very key. We'll throw in the skeletal garrison for now. And then over here at Khemri, which is now a tier 4 settlement. Got all the unique stuff put in. So I think next we should start getting access to more military. So what is it that we would want? Most likely these Ushabti. That way Sinismet has access to more. Yep. Let's throw that in. Doesn't cost all that much. Sinismet is out of his nasty plague, which is perfect. Scoot you on over. And then, while I would very much like to wait until we have another dynasty available to declare war on the dwarves. Yeah, they can attack us from multiple angles here. If I'm able to lock down their lords, that would be very key. But if they're able to sneak in from behind here and start sacking some of these settlements that we're just starting to build up, that would be all sorts of bad. So we want to keep that in mind. End of the turn falls to Settra. And Arkhan has sprinted on away as fast as he can. And I think since he is going to continue to assault us, we need to keep trying to lure his forces over. He apparently very, very much likes the followers of Nagash. So we may actually want to declare war and deal with these Dawi now. So we can start claiming these settlements on the way. The ogres should avoid fighting us just for now, and actually, we may make a non-aggression pact with them just real quick. I'll make them pay me. I'm not going to go ahead and trade with them because I don't want to break too many agreements later on. We'll just take non-aggression for now. Keep them off our backs while we deal with the Dawi and the undead. Nepethar continues to train and gain skills. Good lad. Since we're about to start fighting Dawi, the extra health will be very nice. This is the provincial capital. Defending it is going to be some... We got a name. Great Axe Infantry. These are just dwarf warriors. They won't even pose even a little bit of a threat to my chariots, even with their armor. Miners are armor piercing. They don't have much armor. Well, they've got 80, which is not bad. And then the Quarrelers. Then Harrock Oathforged is currently building up forces. He is at war with the Famished. Well, let's see if we can't be a mercenary for the Famished then. I will join your war against the Greybeards. And you give me money. Sounds good. Settra will take your tribute and use it to raise up more buildings. Alright then. Ground into paste, the Oathforged shall be. Well, this is a Bretonnian town. This could be very cool. Let's scout the terrain out. Luckily it is tier 1, so those towers are going to be very, very meager. They're not going to be blasting us apart with explosives. Okay. We've got a couple ways in. This looks like a pillbox. We'll probably attack from this portion here. This looks to be the least defended. We'll see at the towers once we get on in. Let's go ahead and take down El Haik. Greed will always corrupt the hearts of the lesser kingdoms. And the Dawi prospectors huddled in their stone holes deep in the Adelan Mountains were no different. They had broken from the Karazankor and migrated south, in search of gemstones and new sources of precious metals. Settra had planned on allowing the small men to mine in peace. However, it had recently been discovered that they had been trading with and supplying Arkhan the Black's forces, and this insult would be met with destruction. If these fools think their fancy walls will protect them, then they are sorely mistaken. Let's get this battle going, and it's going to start off with a bang. They've got Quarrelers on the walls, so they are going to immediately start volleying in on what they perceive to be my most expensive units, which they definitely are my most valuable. I'm going to have them pulling on back for a moment, and they're just going to continue to kind of move in and back and harass these archers. Quarrelers do not have the same kind of shield the enemies do. They've got all pretty much 80 armor base. Dwarves are very heavily armored. I'm going to have the Casket of Souls blasting on in on anyone standing on the walls as well. While Settra, all the heroes move forward and attack the gatehouse, while I keep my troops back because these armor-piercing crossbow bolts are going to do a ton of damage. So, to Settra and Nekaph, they actually have a hard time hitting. Several of these are going to plink harmlessly off the ground. Look at the battle going for real then. Move the troops up. We want the archers to be bombarding in on their quarrelers because enough arrows hitting them all at the same time will get through that armor. Big old group of dwarves here. Gets hit with a body attack. Somehow he slithered on in and hit him. They should be concerned as our Khemri swarms flies over the top and mostly gets blasted apart by one of our own volleys. Unfortunately, that's definitely not a good look. Send the other chariots in to hit those walls as Settra and Nekaph quickly chip away at the gates. The Dabi behind the walls, frantically running around. They're not really sure what they're going to do. The short war has begun. Swinging back on over. Khemri Swarm has engaged. They actually terrified off this group of quarrelers, and they're going to be moving in on this next one, just kind of disrupting as many of the archers as we can as our crossbow chariots kind of sit on this hill and fire right on over. They got a beautiful firing angle because of that altitude there. Extra elevation, if you will. I realized that actually our frontline troops will vastly outperform theirs, so I sent the Khemri Guard and everyone in a moment to claim the walls. They're still chipping away at the gates. The gates have fallen on the other side, so that means Settra's going to be blasting on through. As well as the Tomb Guard that have come up to help. The Nekaph is charging in on the Dwarf Warriors while Settra hits the Archers. They got a quick change of targets for Nekaph as well. Explosion dropped just at the proper time, and we're going to try to rip and tear these miners apart as well. 4 horses biting at anyone that gets too close. And we'll lock down their Dwarf Lord in probably the best unit to do so, our armor-piercing halberds. He's not quite a large unit, but they will lock him down and he won't be able to get out of that unit there. Great swords are taking the wall. Slaughtering these dwarf miners. These bricks are going to be slick with their blood. We'll go ahead and slow things down. We've got 2 battles kind of going on simultaneously, and we won't be able to see it all otherwise. We've broken through the gates over here, and Nebathar is slicing through some miners. I'm going to keep them from using their blasting charges, except for I think they already have, so we failed that one. No, they're over here. My mistake. The chariots were crashing on in to this gatehouse as well, since these archers are pretty weakened. And while they may fire on us, we've got a lot of mobility. They're going to have to keep moving around while the Khemri Guard and everyone else charge on in to deal with them. Dwarven battle axes do no damage to ghosts, don't you know? Normal attacks are ineffective. Slashes back with his sword. Slashes. It's a new version of Slash. It's that aggressive. Miners have already been turned away at the wall as they start in on the Dwarf Warriors, who also really do not want to be fighting with our Tomb Guard. That man loses an arm, another one loses a head. They're having the worst day. Nekaph's forced surrender going down, dropping their leadership by 18, which is an insane amount on armies that have low leadership. So if we're fighting Skaven or any of the undead, it basically will just obliterate a ball of dudes instantly. They've got one more group of Dwarf Warriors in the back. And over here on the main battle side, we've got more catapult shots screaming on in. I love the visual effect on these. As our Khemri Guard have engaged with the screaming one here. And with that regeneration, those dual blades, there should be many dwarf bodies littering the ground this day. They're more or less a blender in mummy form. The Tomb Swarm coming down on these crawlers, just trying to give them as much damage as I could. There was not any real good blobs left, so we dropped it over there to stop them from hurting anyone with those crossbows. But just look at the sheer carnage. More Tomb Guard file on in. The Dawi should soon realize in their hearts the battle is well and truly over. We've got Nebathar chasing down different routing groups, just trying to make sure they don't come back. These group of crawlers are going to be hard to hit, so I switched the target of this to them here in just a moment as our archers take the walls. Pretty good at dodging friendly fire there on that shot. And that group breaks. The Dawi run. But running and surrender will not help you because Settra has no use for living servants. Pet pet. A crushing defeat for the Greybeards. Prospectors, these greedy Dawi are going to be pushed out. They defeated the Empire. They will find us a harder kingdom to conquer. Even though they weren't trying to conquer us. That's our job. We'll just go ahead and occupy. We don't gain that much from sacking. El Haik falls under our control. It's got itself a bone wharf, which is very nice. And then some crypts. We're getting a lot of land, and we are going to need to awaken another king to help us control it all. That is for sure. Let's gain Desert Strike here on Prince Apophis, making him... I mean, he's basically the Hulk, but he doesn't look like it. He's a scarab Hulk that runs around and stabs people in the back. Or in the front. Doesn't really matter to him. With the Black Tower of Arkhan slowly coming under our control, I still think we want to go over here to Khemri and make sure we're upgrading this first. So the Pyramid of King Far is 5,400. We can also get our Royal Garrison in and start getting access to... Do we get the Royal Guard until later? 5th Dynasty, fair enough. Okay. This does give us more Tomb Guard, though, I believe. Or not. What are we getting from this? Nehekaran warriors with sword and shield. That's not really worth it to me that much, especially since I have to pay growth for it. So we'll wait on that one. The one I will happily pay growth for, though, is the Nehekaran Skull Workshops, giving us access to... No, we don't get access to the Royal Chariot Guard. Not yet. I don't think we're going to have to wait. We're waiting on those main crazy buildings, then. I think instead... Later on, this is going to help with control and corruption. Gives us some canopic charge, just one. We get a scorpion nest, but that is a tier 3. We can put that in any old building. What we really want is obviously a restored Khemric Titan statue. Some Necro Sphinx for the anti-large. So maybe we leave Khemri as is and start upgrading some of the others. Clicking off to one of the others. Okay, so I will upgrade the Avenue of Monuments. Asabar, I'm content to let grow. Plain of Tuskers, we will upgrade to tier 3 so we can upgrade it. There's a Bone Wharf to a Graveport. Lots of income to be had from our ports. Black Tower can also be fixed up. We have a funerary district, just 50 more gold, but it will slowly build on up. We've got 2,800 coming on in a turn. Not bad. Especially with no upkeep. Alright, so we've claimed all Haik. Now we've just got to get rid of Virus and Coffer, which is where Arkhan's forces have now coalesced. It's a good day to do business with the Bowmen of Orion. They would like a trade agreement, and that I will happily go ahead and do. We can balance the offer, make them pay me a little bit more, and take that thing off. The forest has spoken. Indeed it has, sir. We can also trade with the Disciples of the Maw, whom are at war with a bunch of different Dawi and the Golden Order. I should probably hold off on that until we know a bit more of what's going on up there. But we are good to go. The turn falls to us, and at the Springs of Eternal Life we have the Disappeared. The populace of one of my settlements is gradually vanishing. On certain nights, whole ghettos or districts are left abandoned. The only clue for the remaining denizens is a triangular symbol daubed on a nearby gate or wall. -10 growth over there at Springs. Unfortunate. Prince of Nuristau is now on a chariot. I think I'm going to keep him off of the chariot, though. If it allows me to. Yep. Prince Onuris fights on foot. We'll give him Tomb Strike. Gonna make him a bit slower, but he's gonna kind of stay with the forces for the most part. He needs to fight in with his soldiery. Full plate armor on and a Nekaph. And then I think what we're gonna do is we're gonna bank this short war. I'm not actually going to declare war on the Ironbrow expedition. Moving up here and defending was kind of a waste because they are apparently friendly with us. What we're gonna do instead is move Sinismet down and see if he can't claim the Book of Nagash for himself. It's gonna go to Settra regardless, but we'll march on down. We need to secure Nehekara first. That should be our absolute priority. What we'll spend a bit more cash on, though, is making sure Khemri is defended, so I'll buy these sandstone walls. And then we can either move on Coffer here, which actually has a pretty incredible defense force. I think what we'll do instead is set a little trap. We'll go to this here crossroads. And then we shall wait. So we're going to go ahead and jump into ambush stance. Settra is really, really bad at ambushing, but eventually, through time, we may eventually get it. 40% chance is at least a chance. Our ambush was foiled, but King Anlam's has moved on in regardless to attack. He is fielding pretty similarly to, or at least a pretty similar army to what we've been fighting before. These crypt horrors are not going to be easy to bring down, but if I charge Settra into them and use his Blade of Patrol, we should have a little problem bringing down these regenerative horrors. It's going to, if we give it auto-resolve, it'd be a decisive victory, but you know how it is. Let's get in there and crush King Anlam's. Welcome on in to the failed ambush. Turns out it's hard to ambush people when you start shouting about how magnificent you are while you're trying to hide. Let's get this going. So the most deadly units they have are definitely going to be the Sepulchral Stalkers and the combined group of all these Crypt Horrors. They're going to be a little bit scarier than Ushabti just because they do regenerate. If you had a Necrotect, the Ushabti would be equally deadly, I believe, but Crypt Horrors are pretty well tuned right now. They're doing work. Let's get this going. We've got crossbow bolts, or at least I keep calling these guys crossbows. These are arrows. Flying on in. You take a few skulls. Looks like they magnet on into people. That's how we like it. Magical magnet arrows. So once again, they've got a really wide line, and I'm going to try to exploit that the best I can. We're going to keep these Necro Serpents, or Necropolis Knights, away from our back line, because they will do have an absolute field day through our archers. Arrows going in on these Sepulchral Stalkers, as well as some spells. Wanted to rip down them as quickly as we could as Settra engages with the enemy Tomb King, and the Tomb Prince combo gets involved with the Crypt Horrors. Their bone and spike protruding from that flesh. They are a nightmare. Speaking of nightmare, Sepulchral Stalkers really don't want to be fighting with Office. And it's showing. They're already half dead, as these spearmen attempted to hold the flank and were crushed utterly by our chariots. Much more high-paced fight here. We're going to drop it into slow-mo. The Tomb Swarm was ripping our archers apart, and I actually didn't see it, so they got full damage off on my archers. Can't save everyone. Arrows flying on in, a lot of them finding their marks. Several of these ghouls getting Last Samurai'd. Even as they charge on in, they are going to meet dual, or at least great swords, and that's going to be a really bad time. I promise you, this guy's taking a nap. Wake up, brother, you're gonna get hit with a club. Back over on the main side, Settra has continuing to duel with the Tomb Prince, or at least allowing the horses to face off. 4 horses is greater than 1. He will learn that eventually. Tomb Princes are actually having quite a difficult time here with the Crypt Horrors, so I was going to try to pull them on out and allow the archers to fire on in and coat them in arrowy goodness. A little bit of a stutter there. But yeah, no, these spears, when they're not braced, they get run right over by these chariots, especially with that extra charge bonus and mass. Ushabti summoning on in on my princes. They're not going to enjoy that at all, so they're going to bugger on out as soon as they can. They're going to make like a tree and get out of there. All 4 of them biting simultaneously, which is amusing. The Necropolis Knights almost made it in behind, but we were chasing them off with our Settra's Guard. I wanted to try to form them up, and they are immediately trying to get around behind. This was being a sneaky little snake unit. One of these ghouls coats the ground. They learned that great swords are indeed super effective on flesh. Knights continuing to get further away than they want to be, but I can't let the guard get too far apart, otherwise I'll just turn around and run them over. Keep wanting to form them up into a group so they can actually get ready and plant and brace for the next charge that the serpents can give. The rest of this army here getting absolutely pummeled by artillery and chariot charges. Settra is not concerned about crypt horrors because he can catch his blade on fire, rendering their regeneration useless. Doomkeem tries to escape, but his horse gives way and he crumples to instant dust. His army soon to follow. They were soldiers and horrors. You're back there doing a little wiggle. Sometimes they get caught up. Settra's chariot knocking over two of the Ushabti great bows. They were able to get basically fire unimpeded the entire time, but the damage they did to us was pretty negligible. Another force of Archons, utterly annihilated. He's having a really bad day. If they will not serve, then they will be destroyed. We lost 72. Settra only gained himself 87 kills, but he did 2,100 damage dealt as gold value, so he did more than enough. Our chariots taking the golden sword. Actually, take it back. Our Casket of Souls usually takes the golden sword, and it definitely did in this one as well. It just didn't get all that much gold dealt as value. It was blowing up all of their chaff. We are going to go ahead and we gained 2 canopic jars, and we're doing a really bad job of preserving the enemy here. Let's go on this one with Bind Souls, because there's 2 other armies behind them. Listen, Sand Grinder.
Will never achieve such majesty.
Stop talking about your pyramid to everyone. He wants to trade. Well, I mean, I guess we could allow these ogres to exist, but I mean, they're aggressive, and just their camps being their raid from us and anything in the circle, I believe. So, while you would like to trade, I'm gonna have to tell you to bugger off. Your death approaches. Abandoned Sphinx. Despite the best efforts of our chief necrotect, one of our tombs has started to sink back into the sands once more, for giving up its illustrious arcane secrets. If we do not act quickly to shore up its entrance, we risk losing everything we have thus far gained. We could reinforce the workers and have a little bit less growth in all our provinces, or reinforce the troops, and we would have less replenishment. Ooh. Well, we're about to be in a whole bunch of fights. We'll take the hit to growth for now, which also doesn't feel great. It's only 8, though, so we will deal. We've got 4,200 rolling with us right now. I'm going to let the dwarves here deal with Scarbrand. We are going to sprint quickly back on over. See if we can avoid trespassing. Has Khemri put in the statues of Joff? They absolutely have. We're going to stay in Khemri, or at least the Khemri clan, and then move this direction.
The king moves.
And then we shall put in some new Ushabti. I think we will have them replace... Ooh, that's a really tough call. The King Nakash's Scorpion Legion is but skeleton spearmen, so they are going to get the boot. Disbanded. They'll go back into our Regiment of Renown unit pool. And then we will recruit in some beautiful Ushabti. I'm actually tempted to bring over some chariots for Settra's army. I think once we defeat some of our enemies, though, we can go ahead and deal with that, no problem. For the King of Kings, we have 1 more skill point. I think. We need to get up to rank 31 as quick as we can, is what I really think, but we'll get there. I think we are going to go for his magic. We want to finish off this magic, get up to Arcane Conduit. I think he is up to rank 27 now. I want to have enough to get multiple. So maybe we chill out on his magic and start working on how strong he is. So Indomitable Will for Settra will work on Conqueror. I'd like him to be an absolute monster.
Settra the Imperishable.
We'll have a whole bunch of those. Alright, so for Apophis here, we will give him the Entombed Menace upgrade. And then for Nebuthar,
Your king.
I think we'll give you a bit more training. And then while there is an army building up here, and he's got 2 more on this side, they can't get all the way over to us, so I'm not...
Begone. No.
Well, they could claim Al-Haik back by sprinting him over and having these guys move over and march and reinforce. That would be quite dangerous for them. There's a whole bunch of sand being kicked up over here. Arkhan's army looks pretty weak, and they only have 1 group of Ushabti. I think it's time now to move on Coffer. See if we can't draw these forces beyond the walls. Do they have walls? They do. Okay, so let's try to attack Hierophant Hatmas first, push him off. Oh, he decided to stick in and fight. That works for me. So attacking him, it looks like we've got reinforcements coming in at a minute 46. I think it's both of these. And then Tuyet comes in a minute 31. It's going to give us a Pyrrhic victory on the auto-resolve. We would still lose nobody. Settra is so strong at this point. But you know how it is. 1 more battle here against Arkhan the Black and the followers of Nagash. While we do have quite a large enemy force coming on in to face us, at current moment, it is but 1 Hierophant. So we are going to charge all of our main evil units at him as fast as we can, all of our beaters. Gonna cast some magic at us. We're going to absorb that damage, no problem. Any spells Settra cast is going to heal that up, no problem. We've got a minute 43 for our enemies to arrive, so basically first things first. The Smackdown. He's going to keep casting spells, doing everything he can to stay alive. As Apophis screams at him. And his worst nightmare. Several heroes charging all in together. His health bar... Oh, he's already dead. Well, that was quick. So we are going to be awaiting the reinforcements. And I will see you all when this second group gets here. This set hit gets here way sooner, but they just kind of hang out over there for now. This is the main army, so we will await, and I will see you in a second. And in marches Arkhan. I decided to send both of our Tomb Princes and the Archer Chariots over to try to stall this army with their Stalkers, Spearmen, and they've got another Lich Priest of Death. But speaking of death, in marches Arkhan and his soldiers as they get bombarded with souls the second they walk in. Our forces weren't quite up as far as I thought they were, so they do get a chance to reorganize a little bit. Office charging on in. A Tomb Swarm going down, getting every single one of these units here. Settra did unfortunately get stopped by some Spearmen. But a Wrath of Petra will blast some of them back, and his Blade of Petra will allow him just to go ahead and escape real quick and smash into a more juicy target. Slow things down because there's a lot going on. His Felbats have gone into our archers. Unfortunately, we've got to switch a couple of these guys around to deal with that. Doomguard are getting engaged by Crypt Ghouls, which is a fine engagement for them. They missed the counter charge, unfortunately, but they will still cleave through them like they're made of butter. Dire Wolves are getting uppercutted out of existence. This group has already fallen. Over with the Ancillary Forces, they are fighting with Ushabti, trying to eliminate this group first. Since they're not infantry, the Ushabti's anti-infantry is going to be not working out for them. We've got a gigantic blob of infantry here, and we have to deal with them, so charging the chariots on in, try to fight through this group of archers and shut down their own Casket of Souls, which is currently raining hellfire down into my archers. And doing a good job of it. He's got a Realm of Souls kicking on in to get some heals across the board there. As a Khemri swarm appears to hunt down some archers. Ripping on through that back line. They tried to escape and they were run down quickly. Got chariots of their own, though, and they've smashed into our front line, and they're having a bad time. Settra is doing battle with all of these spearmen by himself, and Apophis is in the middle of a bunch of nonsense, so he's got to get some help, and they've summoned some Ushabti on top of him. Over here, we've finished off the Ushabti with the forced surrender and annihilated the group of spearmen. We're trying to move quickly so we can get out of there before the stalkers get in on any of our large units, because as you can see, they blasted in on my Wheels of Trot and did a lot of damage. Emperor Swarm has surrounded the Casket of Souls there, and actually, I will take it back. I thought one of my chariots was missing. There are times I've had where the replays don't quite match up, and I've had to deal with that in the past. But that was only kind of in the first episode. I figured it out pretty quickly. But it is a thing that can happen, so it always concerns me. Arkhan in the middle of my Tomb Guard. Not really something he wants to be doing. He is a fine fighter, but Tomb Guard are pretty sturdy. Office is once again surrounded by as many soldiers as possible. Same thing with Settra. Settra's holding his own and just fine. Apophis is taking a little bit of damage. Hold the chariots far away from the Sepulchral Stalkers as they start blasting in on my Tomb Princes. You could have I missed this for a moment, they nearly took a ton of damage. He took a ton of damage, could have died very quickly. We're just going to run away from them. We're going to come on back over and attack this army and just smash as many of these forces and get that army loss. They've got their own Tomb Swarm coming down, ripping the bones. It's an absolute carnage in this middle, though. Chariots smashing into the line. Getting some good hammer and anvil strikes. Running down their own chariots, because I think they still have some of their own wheeled chariots, but ours are so much better in combat that if they decide to stick it and fight, we will rip them to pieces. Got some archers dueling with our own. Settra is in the middle of a ton of skeletons. And the reinforcements arrive just in time. As the two heroes arrive as well, you can see the Sepulchral Stalkers desperately trying to keep up, but I don't think they have time. We can see the leadership starting to break. And Nekaph drops down the forced surrender. Obligatory surrender, I believe, is the actual name of it. Compulsory. One of the synonyms. Chariots are rending them to pieces. Running out of awesome descriptive words for destroying the enemy, which is basically what's happening. Arkhan came at us with a gigantic force, and it mattered all of 0. The leadership is breaking. The Sepulchral Stalkers have arrived, but their souls leave their bodies before they can engage in combat. As every single one of our soldiers was given an attack order, the enemy decided nope, and he fell over to play dead. But a amazing victory. Well done, lads. Your numbers matter not. This win was destined by the gods. Settra with 342 kills. He actually surpassed the Casket of Souls this time. The Chariot's doing an absolute ton of work as well. We ripped Arkhan's army to shreds. We're very lucky he didn't have any Tomb Guard. He's just rolling with he spent most of his upgrades on Ushabti and the like, so in that I am very thankful. We gained 7 Canopic Jars, because once again, after defeating 4,400 enemies, we only managed to stuff 7 of them into jars. We gained a little bit of gold, and I think for that victory, I mean, we killed all of them, so... Oh, really? 45 gold. I think we'll just go ahead and replenish then. Put them to work rebuilding Khemri, since that's what we now own. And we should have wiped out the entire garrison there. Let's go ahead and give Settra, Conqueror, upgrade that overall weapon strength up to 639. Nekaph. Get over my dead body. He's got a lot of good skills here. I'm not going to worry about his charge just yet then. I think we may go for Embalmed and Elixir just for a little bit more health. Either that or the base training. Tough call. I actually think I'm going to go for Blade Master. And then Embalmed in Elixir. Or Prince Apophis. You have no bones to dip in elixir, good sir, so we're gonna go ahead and just give you Molt. Extra health. Took a bit of a beating in that one, but he was in the middle of so many forces the whole time, getting bombarded by our Casket of Souls, so he's lucky he survived as well as he did. For Nebathar, I may go ahead and give you some bandages, or embalm you in elixir as well. And dipped in bones. Let's do it. Why not? 4% more health points and 15% armor, or at least fire resistance. So when we fight against Scarbrand again, we'll be at least a little bit resistant to his nonsense. Even though he hits like a freight train. Gopher we could go ahead and sack. I'm not going to though. We will claim it. The coast of Araby is falling under our control. We now have access to the Gopher docks, giving us 200 income. If we upgrade it, we get 400. Pretty good. And we have some Ushabti statues over here. Upgrade the Mustaba at Al-Haik, but I actually think they're going to attack Al-Haik, so I'm going to ignore it. The only reason we even claimed Gopher here is, one, because it's theirs, and obviously they had a statue building in. I don't really want Ushabtian in Settra's army. We're going to delete this one. What we're going to have is some of the war stinks. War stinks. We have too many skeleton archers. I need to go ahead and rename these two. We're good to go. But pushing back forces of Nagash pretty easily here. Wizard Caliph's Palace is the pyramid that thinks it can rival Settra's, but look at that. We have to just look at the magnificence of Settra's pyramid. It's got 4 skulls. Can't see this one, but it's... Oh, there you can. And it's tipped with gold. Be jealous. But for now, it is time for Settra to take back to the advisor chamber. We have much to plan. Hope you all enjoyed part 3 for my Settra narrative campaign. If you have any tactics, tips, unit name suggestions, put it in the comments below. Let's start a discussion. But I am out of time for today. I have been Space Wizards at a War. Remember to leave a like for the like god and a sub for the sub throne, and I will see you all in the next one.